grade 9 learners. Today, we are going to discuss quadrilaterals that are parallelograms. Let us start with the expectations for this lesson. Number 1. Identify the different kinds of quadrilateral. Number 2. Determine the conditions that make a quadrilateral a parallelogram. Number 3. State the different properties of a parallelogram. Now, let us have the pretest. Directions. Choose the letter of the correct answer. Write your answer in your notebook. Number 1. What can you say about the opposite sides in a parallelogram? A. They are congruent. B. They are perpendicular. C. They are not parallel. D. They are not equal. You have 10 seconds to answer. Your timer starts now. Number 2. How would you describe the consecutive angles in a parallelogram? A. They are congruent. B. They are both right angles. C. They are complementary. D. They are supplementary. Your timer starts now. Number 3. In a parallelogram, how would you describe the diagonals? A. They are congruent. B. They bisect each other. C. They are parallel. D. They are perpendicular. Your timer starts now. Number 4. Which of the following quadrilaterals has 4 right angles and 4 congruent sides? A. Parallelogram. B. Rectangle. C. Rhombus. D. Square. Your timer starts now. Number 5. Which of the following is not a parallelogram? A. Trapezoid. B. Square. C. Rhombus. D. Rectangle. Your timer starts now. Let's check your answers. You are doing great! Before we proceed to our lesson for today, let us have a recap. Directions. Analyze the diagram below. What do you remember about the family of quadrilaterals? Can you define and illustrate the different kinds of quadrilaterals? Look at the diagram. Can you identify the different kinds of quadrilaterals? We have the trapezoid, parallelogram, kite, isosceles trapezoid, rhombus, rectangle, and square. So this is the family of quadrilateral. Let us now proceed with our lesson. Quadrilaterals that are parallelograms. Let us recall, what is a quadrilateral? A quadrilateral is a four-sided polygon. It has four vertices and the sum of the interior angles is 360 degrees. In the given figure, MATH is a quadrilateral. It has four sides, namely side MA, side AT, side TH, and side HM. It has four vertices, namely vertex M, vertex A, vertex T, and vertex H. It has also four interior angles that add to 360 degrees. Angle M plus angle A plus angle T plus angle H equals 360 degrees. Now, let us go back to the definitions of the different kinds of quadrilaterals. Kinds of quadrilateral. Trapezoid. It is a quadrilateral with only one pair of opposite sides are parallel. Isosceles trapezoid. It is a trapezoid in which the non-parallel sides are congruent. Parallelogram. It is a quadrilateral in which two pairs of opposite sides are parallel. Rhombus. It is a parallelogram with four congruent sides. Rectangle. It is a parallelogram with four congruent angles. Square. It is a parallelogram with four congruent sides and four congruent angles. Kite. A quadrilateral in which two consecutive sides are congruent. So these are the different kinds of quadrilaterals. Now, can you identify which among the quadrilaterals are parallelogram? Do you know the conditions that should be determined to prove that quadrilaterals are parallelogram? There are conditions that should be determined to prove that quadrilaterals are parallelograms. And these are the following. Number 1, in a parallelogram, any two opposite sides are congruent. In the given figure, MATH is a parallelogram in which side MA is congruent to side TH. Also, side AT is congruent to side HM. Second, in a parallelogram, any two opposite angles are congruent. Again, in the given figure MATH, angle M is congruent to angle T. Angle A is congruent to angle H. Third, in a parallelogram, any two consecutive angles are supplementary. For the given figure, quadrilateral MATH, angle M plus angle A is equal to 180 degrees. Angle T plus angle A equivalent to 180 degrees. Angle T plus angle H is also equivalent to 180 degrees. And angle M plus angle H equal to 180 degrees. Fourth, the diagonals of a parallelogram bisect each other. For the given figure, diagonal MT intersect with diagonal AH at point S. Since the diagonals of a parallelogram bisect each other, in diagonal MT, MS is congruent to ST. In diagonal AH, AS is congruent to SH. And lastly, a diagonal of a parallelogram divides the parallelogram into two congruent triangles. In the given figure, diagonal AH form two congruent triangles. With diagonal AH, triangle MAH is congruent to triangle THA. With diagonal MT, triangle MAT is congruent to triangle THM. Let us have the wrap-up. Let us remember that there are conditions that need to determine before we can say that a quadrilateral is a parallelogram. And these are the different properties of parallelogram. We need to satisfy all those properties before we can say that a quadrilateral is a parallelogram. Once again, let us state the different properties of a parallelogram. Number 1, in a parallelogram, any two opposite sides are congruent. Number 2, in a parallelogram, any two opposite angles are congruent. And number 3, in a parallelogram, any two consecutive angles are supplementary. And number 4, the diagonals of a parallelogram bisect each other. And lastly, the diagonal of a parallelogram divides the parallelogram into congruent triangles. For our valuing, you will make a reflection in a form of journal writing. In this pandemic period, there are lots of conditions that we need to determine in order for us to survive. We need to follow some health protocols like social distancing, wearing a face mask, frequently washing of hands, and live a healthy lifestyle. Just like the quadrilaterals, there are many conditions before we can say that it is a parallelogram. As a student, cite some ways on how to promote a healthy lifestyle in order to survive in this pandemic. Write your answers on a separate sheet of paper.